Hey, I'm Geeky Pastimes, and today I've got something a little bit new for you. I've got a casual zombie fan's guide to the reveal of the next Zombies round-based map by Treyarch. So this is a new kind of video that I'm experimenting with, where I'm thinking there's probably a lot of people like me that kind of are interested in zombies and want to see the new things in zombies, but don't care that much about the lore and aren't that invested in zombies as an idea. So I'm going to try and explain to you what we know about the next round-based map, what we've seen, some of the things that have been in the intel, and what I think about what we've seen of the next round-based map so far, but all from kind of the perspective of someone who's very, very much a casual zombies player. If you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments, is this sort of video the sort of thing that works for you? And what are you hoping to see from this new zombies map? So on Treyarch's social media channels, they posted 3 different images that are linked to the next round-based zombies map. And they've already said that season 6, there's going to be a new round-based zombies map. So when I say round-based, I mean things like D Machine and Firebase Zed and Mauer de Toten. It'll be the 4th one of those we're getting in Black Ops Cold War, and the final one for this game. So they've started teasing it with these images, and it's a similar way to how they've teased things before. They've used these images, which are like black and white photos with things scrawled on them to give us a sense of what they are. Now normally these things are a little bit more mysterious, but with this one it just kind of shows what it is. It's one of the places that we saw in the campaign, the big building that red light green light is in. So this is like a big military complex that inside it contains this fake American town where soldiers can practice fighting against the Americans as if they were going to do an invasion of America. I think that's the idea behind it. One of the images they use is literally an image that they use in the campaign as well, so it's there's no questioning whether this is that or not. It just definitely is. That's it. That image just says it says to Weaver, this is the place we must make our stand here, from Ravenov. So it's Ravenov talking to Weaver about them making a stand against something. Then you've got another one which is kind of the inside of a machine. It looks a little bit like the inside of that place in Firebase Zed, sort of the thing that was creating the portal. But it says Kravchenko plans to open a special gateway. They are trying to find him, and we'll talk about who he is in a little bit. And then the final one, which appeared on Facebook, says Omega's next operation is already well underway. They've been constructing for months, and that shows something that looks a little bit like a tiny version of the particle accelerator from D Machine, something a bit like that. So you've got these machines, so we get the idea that, okay, Omega Group are building a portal in this military base, this sort of big training base thing, and Requiem are obviously going to go in to stop Omega doing whatever they're doing. Now, from the intel and things like that, we actually know a little bit about what's going on here. We know that there is this character in the intel who's been in it for a while, who was originally called the Stranger, and he's someone that got stuck in the Dark Ether. So the Dark Ether is like this alternate dimension where all those purple crystals and everything come from. He got stuck there, and most people end up dying or turning into monsters and stuff like that. He ended up kind of being able to survive for quite a long while, and over time he sort of worked out how to sort of build some simple technology. He could kind of teleport back into the normal world occasionally, but would always get pulled back into the Dark Ether, and for some reason when he was in normal world people couldn't see him. It was all very strange. He ended up sort of documenting a lot of the different types of life that was going on there, even things like the perk machines and weird gameplay elements like that he talks about. And then over time he learned how to build a sort of terminal that he could communicate with the normal world with, and then he ended up sending voice messages and revealed who he was, that he was this Russian guy called Zykov. Now he has been talking about in the Dark Ether that there's this incredibly powerful being called the Forsaken that's going around killing or even eating, I think, elder giants, killing these big monsters and absorbing their power and becoming more and more powerful. Zykov thinks that this is a real threat to the normal world, and he wants to be rescued from the Dark Ether so he can help them in turn fight against the Forsaken when it comes. So it seems like Omega want to rescue Zykov, Omega want to get Zykov out, and then he can help them fight against the Forsaken. Requiem want to stop Omega because that's what they've been doing this whole time. They want to stop Omega from messing around with the Dark Ether, and then the Forsaken, I'm assuming, wants to come and try and invade. Now there's a few other sort of tricky things going on in the story. The Forsaken before has acted as somebody else, so pretended to be Valentina's father, who was the character in Mauer de Toten. That's what was going on in Mauer de Toten, where he saw Valentina go into the portal, and she came back as that kind of monstery type thing. That she was tricked by the Forsaken. So it could be that Zykov, the Stranger, is actually the Forsaken now, and he's the one communicating with us, and he's just trying to trick Omega into opening a portal to try and rescue someone. That's possibly it. By the way, they do know, like, the Omega know who Zykov is because he's one of the Russians that was, like, sent into D Machine. If you remember that cutscene in D Machine where they, like, sent Russians in and then they sealed up the door behind them, that was Zykov. So the Russians might think that they're talking to him, but actually they're talking to the Forsaken. That's possible, so they could be like, yeah, we're gonna save Zykov, and then the Forsaken comes out and we have some big fight against him. Maybe. Or maybe Zykov will come out and give us something that we can use to fight the Forsaken, like teach us how to make something or something like that. Who knows? I've not been massively invested in the story for this sort of year of zombies. Partly, I mean, I've never been that into the story of zombies. But part of my problem with this is that it doesn't ever feel like it's been building up to something. So, like, all of this stuff that I'm talking about, Forsaken, if you're sitting there thinking, but I've played through all of the maps, and I've played through the Outbreak Easter eggs, and I can't remember any of this, don't worry, it's all stuff that's, like, hidden away in intel. It's not something that the main stories have had anything to do with. It's not something that's been mentioned that much. It's all stuff that's been bubbling away, and this is kind of the same thing that's happened in all of the maps, you know, sort of like D Machine, we were just going in to stop this machine, like stop the thing that was creating the portal. And then in Firebase Ed, we were going in to rescue Maxis. And then in Mauda Totem, we were going in to rescue Raptor 1. It's like every time you have this objective that's seemingly not that connected to like the overall story arc. So the thing that we're doing now is really based on just stuff from Intel. It's not based on stuff that you would have known if you were just playing. So yeah, the story's not the best, it's not being told in the best way necessarily, but the exciting thing from that perspective is that we might get this big bad, the Forsaken. We might get something that we get to fight. I really hope that we don't kill the Forsaken. I hope that that's something that does become like the big enemy of zombies and then maybe carries on over into Vanguard, something that we can carry on fighting. Although Vanguard Zombies sounds like it's going to be a prequel, which makes that even more confusing. But time works weird in Dark Ether, so who knows. Now onto the map itself. Obviously the fact that they're using this building that one of the campaign missions was in makes me think they're probably going to use a lot of assets and probably bits of the map from the campaign mission. That makes sense. And they did a similar thing with Mauda Toten, you know, where they had bits of sort of like Berlin done anyway for that mission in the campaign. So I'm going to guess they're going to do the same thing. Now I'm a little bit gutted about this, partly because I felt like with D Machine and then Firebase Ed and then a lot of the stuff in Outbreak, we've had a lot of fighting zombies in military bases. You know, military bases in slightly different settings, admittedly, but still kind of just military bases. And they all end up kind of looking the same. You know, there's lots of bunkers, there's lots of corridors, there's lots of like computers all over the place. It all sort of gets a bit samey, and I'm guessing this will be basically the same thing. We do have that fake American town, but we've already seen it in the campaign, and we have actually already had a zombies map in a fake American town before of Alpha Omega, which kind of uses Nuketown but expanded a little bit. So it's not even like it's something new for zombies. Obviously there are a lot of ways they could make this fresh. So they could have some super cool new monsters, they could have a really cool new wonder weapon, they could have some cool new mechanics or something like that. There's loads of interesting things they can do. But from what we've seen so far from the map, it's kind of, this is very much going to be more of the same. And I hope, like, now we know that Treyarch's going to be making maps into Vanguard, I really, really hope that they're going to try and change things up and are going to do something a little bit more interesting. Like, Black Ops 4, I know wasn't everyone's favourite zombies experience, blah, 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 but the Chaos story in that, I thought did a really good job of at least bringing really interesting locations. You know, you had a map on the Titanic, you had a map in a big creepy mansion, you had a map in, like, a Roman Colosseum, you had a map basically in, like, Greek mythology. You had loads of really cool locations for maps that were really different from each other and always exciting to explore. And I get that, like, obviously those are a lot harder to develop for, it's a lot harder to create loads of assets from scratch and stuff like that, but if I'm just doing, you know, what I would want in a map, it definitely wouldn't just be another military base. But hopefully over the next couple of weeks we'll probably see a lot more about this. We'll see like a trailer at some point about it, and I'm guessing we'll get loads more bits of intel, maybe some blueprints of whatever the new wonder weapon's going to be and stuff like that. So on this channel I will keep on making videos updating you on what's going on with that, and like I said, I'm trying to do it from the perspective of someone who's not super invested in zombies. So I might have made some mistakes, I might have said some things that aren't quite right. If I have, feel free to correct me in the comments, but try to do it in kind of a polite way. You know what people can be like. But yeah, if you like this type of video, if you think, okay, this is useful having someone explaining zombies, not from the perspective of someone who knows everything about zombies, then let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe this video, and also let me know in the comments, what are you hoping for from this map? Do you like what you've seen about it so far? Have you got some cool idea about how this could work? Let me know. I'd be really interested to see that. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.